Hi, fourth grade. Welcome to Social Studies. This year, we are starting off with the three branches of government. So, as we begin, we're going to begin by talking about Congress and lesson one. And we're going to do an intro as well as chapters one and two to introduce you to our three branches of government. So, today, we're going to understand how Congress affects our government. We will know we'll be successful when we can explain the different jobs of Congress, including how they balance our government. Okay, vocabulary for chapter one includes democracy. So, democracy is a government that is elected by the people. So, this is a little different than something like a hierarchy or a king. So, you might have in England where a king rules and they're the ones that only have power. So, we're really lucky in the United States that we have these three branches of government that are able to equal each other out and have balances so that no one person is completely in control. Our next vocabulary word is Congress. This is the highest lawmaking body of the United States. It's made up of the Senate and the House of Representatives. So, any major law that happens has to go through Congress, and that's one of the main parts of our checks and balances system. The last vocab word is legislative. So, this is related to the branch of government that makes laws. Congress is the legislative branch. So, back here, I've started to make legislative, executive, and judicial. These are our three branches of government. We're starting off just by talking about the legislative branch. So, like we said, this is Congress, and their job is to make laws. So, as we continue through government, we're going to see how these three branches of government balance each other out. We're going to start this intro by showing a video. And it says, how does Congress make the laws? That's what we're really going to learn through these next few lessons of social studies.
Is it true that Congress can fire the president? Yes, in a way. The U.S. Constitution gives Congress the power to remove a president from office, but only for a serious crime. Congress has other powers too. It can even declare war. But as the legislative branch of the government, its main job is to make the laws. Congress has two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Their members are elected by the voters of each state. How does Congress get its work done? It takes a lot of meetings. Congress meets in the Capitol in Washington, D.C. Most meetings or sessions are open to the public. A new law begins in either house with a proposal called a bill. Committees review the bill and make changes before the members vote on it. Then the bill goes to the other house. Both houses must agree on a bill before it can be sent to the president. Members of Congress work hard to craft laws that protect people's rights, safety, and well-being. To find out more about the Congress of the United States, read the book.
And that is where we will start, is we are going to read the book. And in this lesson today, we're going to read chapters one and two. So, the Congress of the United States is the book we will read, and it says the first Congress had only 79 members. Today, it has 535 members. So, you can see how it has grown and progressed through time. So, I'm going to start by chapter one, Government by the People. It says the United States is a democracy. That means Americans vote for the people who run their government and make the laws. The part of the government that makes the laws is Congress. Over here, our caption says Congress meets in the U.S. Capitol. President George Washington laid the cornerstone of the building on September 18th, 1793. Over here, it says about 32,000 people work for Congress. Only 535 are elected officials. And it says all 535 members of Congress meet to hear the president speak. The government of the United States is divided into three parts or branches. The president is the head of the executive branch, and I'm going to kind of correlate it over here. So, this is one of our branches, and we can see the White House and the president. This part of the government enforces laws. The judicial branch makes sure the laws are fair. It also settles court cases. So here you have the judicial branch, and this is the Supreme Court building, home of the Supreme Court. And the main people in charge of the judicial branch are the Supreme Court. Congress is the legislative or lawmaking branch. This branch has the power to create and change laws. It also can create new taxes, declare war, and more. Thousands of people work together to do these jobs. So here we are talking about the legislative branch. We have the United States Capitol, which is home of our Congress, and it's made up of the House of Representatives and the Senate. Okay, so in your journal, the first question you're going to answer is, what is the job of the legislative branch as part of the government? So I want you to stop, and if you need to, rewind. Think about why the legislative branch is important to our government. And now we're moving on to chapter 2. Chapter 2 has a lot more vocabulary words. So I'm going to run through these words for us. So our first word is representatives. Representatives are people elected to listen and speak for other people, members of the House of Representatives. The next vocabulary word is a term. This is the set length of time that an elected official serves in office. And this happens in multiple ways, just as, for example, the president's term lasts 4 years and then they have to go up for reelection. The next vocabulary word is sessions. These sessions are formal meetings where everyone gets together and speaks about the laws that they might be trying to make or enforce. Impeach is to bring charges against a public official for a crime. Most often, this is used in a large position. So, for example, if you wanted to impeach the president, it means you're trying to charge them and take their position away. The next word is committees. These are groups of people who speak for a larger group. Committees are formed and then they usually meet and then report out what they find or decide. The last vocabulary word is bills. These are written plans of new laws. Okay, chapter 2 says, Welcome to the House. And this part says, Who represents you in the House? Go to www.house.gov and use your zip code to find out. So, Congress has two parts or houses. One is called the House of Representatives, the other is the Senate. What happens in each of these houses? Over here, our caption says Maxine Waters became a representative for California in 1991. California has more representatives than any other states because it has the largest population. Down here it says, oh, hopefully I can see it all. You don't need to be born in the United States to be in Congress. You need to be a citizen, someone who could get this passport. So, meaning you have to, just because you were not born here doesn't mean you cannot still be a part of Congress. To gain your citizenship, you usually have to take a test about the United States and you can gain your citizenship. There are also other ways, but that's the most common. So, who is in this house? Voters elect people up to the House of Representatives. They are called representatives or House members. They serve a term for 2 years. Well, who can be a representative? You need to be at least 25 years old. You must be a U.S. citizen for at least 7 years. And you must run for office in the state where you live. You do not have to have been born in the United States to run for Congress. Each House member represents about 690,000 people. States with larger populations get more members. This means big states have more power in the House. It's different in the Senate, though. Altogether, there are 435 representatives who can vote in the House. There are also members who can't vote. They come from the U.S. Virgin Islands, Washington, D.C., American Samoa, Puerto Rico, and Guam. And down here, our caption states representatives are elected every 2 years. Americans must be at least 18 years old to vote. Speaker of the House. Each term, the House elects a leader called the Speaker of the House. The Speaker runs the sessions or formal meetings of the House. Representatives debate or discuss issues before voting. The Speaker helps this debate along. He or she tells people when they can speak. The Speaker has another important job as well. What happens if the US President and Vice President can no longer serve? The Speaker becomes President. And it says here that Nancy Pelosi has been a member of the House since 1987. It says the first female Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi of California, was elected in 2007. Now we'll speak about the powers of the House. Both branches of Congress work to make new laws. However, each branch has its own powers. Only the House of Representatives can create a new tax. Only members of the House can impeach or bring charges against a president for breaking a law. Another power of the House is to break a tie vote in a presidential election. So here, our caption says that in 1974, members of the House of Representatives discussed impeaching President Richard Nixon. Nixon resigned instead, meaning he stepped down as president. Okay. Here it says the House Committee on Natural Resources approved a bill to protect America's wild horses in 2007. So that's one of the ways that they can work to help protect the United States. Representatives break into smaller groups to manage all their work. They form about 20 groups called committees. The committees meet to talk about ideas. They write bills or written plans of new laws. Up here, our caption says wild horses live in western states such as Montana and Nevada. Over here on page 17, we're going to talk about from an idea to a law. So, how does an idea turn into a law? Here's an example. So, number one is the idea. Some students want a law requiring schools to recycle. They write a letter to their representative or senator. Two, then sponsorship. The representative agrees to support the idea. She writes a bill. Number three, there's now a committee review. We talked about committees over here. A committee reviews the bill, its members can make changes. Number four is the vote. So the bill passes if more than half of the representatives vote for it. Number five is the other branch. The bill moves on to other house. Both houses must approve it. Now, number six is veto or a law. The president has two choices. He can say no or veto the bill. This bill could still become a law if two out of the three members of Congress approve it. Or the president can say yes and sign the bill. Now it becomes a law. Every school in the country must recycle. So that's how that works in that format through there. So it says with or without a law, your school can start a recycling program. So it doesn't have to become a law, but if you wanted to make sure every school in the United States was doing it, that could be the process of becoming a law. Our last journal activity was at the beginning of the chapter. So I want you to go to www.house.gov and type in your zip code to find out who represents us in the House. Report the name of the representative. That way we know who is representing us. Thanks, guys. I hope you have a wonderful day. And thanks for listening to chapters 1 and 2 today.